I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you from the beautiful Government Center in Winston-Salem, here in the third floor studio. We welcome you to the program. Hope you'll stick with us throughout the program. We had a lot of things we're going to talk about, from volunteering for commissions to talking about domestic violence and all sorts of serious topics too. But where we want to start is with this lovely young lady. I just met her for the first time a few minutes ago, Mashica Jefferson Tobias. She's public health dental hygienist for Forsyth County Department of Public Health. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
What is the number one childhood disease?
Dental decay.
Dental decay.
People sometimes think it would be something as common as asthma, but dental decay.
Why is that so prevalent?
That is an excellent question. And really, in this day and time, you would think that it wouldn't be. With the things like fluoridated water and fluoridated toothpaste.
Right.
But what we find is that parents most often have a misconception when it comes to baby teeth. And so they think, yes, the child has a cavity, but that tooth is going to fall out. And then, they'll get the permanent teeth.
That's what I thought.
But the problem is that some of those baby teeth are going to be there until the child is 12, sometimes 13, depending on their development. And so it is really important to go ahead and treat the teeth so that those teeth hold the space for the grown-up teeth, and the grown-up teeth know where to come in.
Well, then let's back up from, say, the toddler area to infancy or something. At what point should the parent say, well, it's time to start cleaning the baby's mouth and teeth?
Immediately.
Immediately?
Right when they start feeding the child, whether they're using a bottle or mom is breastfeeding, that child's mouth should be cleaned immediately. They can use washcloth separate from what they would use to bathe.
Right.
But we also have little finger swabs called baby tenders that we give to pregnant moms.
Oh, okay.
And that way they're cleaning the gums and the tongue, and that protects from thrush as well.
I didn't realize that. Now, let me circle back to something we were talking about. Is there a certain age, a specific age, that you should say, okay, it's time to go to the dentist for the first time?
Age one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is it important for parents to keep the child's baby teeth healthy? Are you afraid more of just cavities? Because you were talking a minute ago about you might have them for 12 years. You got to be careful. I mean, what can happen if you don't?
Well,
will they fall out, or will they early?
They'll fall out, but they'll also cause the child pain, depending on how large the cavity is.
Oh, I got you.
So for people that have ever had a toothache, it's not a comfortable thing. And if a child is school age and they have an abscess and they're in pain, it's kind of going to interfere with their learning. It's going to have a hard time concentrating if you're in pain.
I got you. Now, are there any particular tools or resources that parents can use to help avoid tooth decay in their children? Any advice you have there?
Making sure that they're brushing for the child. And then sometimes when toddlers get to be older, they like to try and brush themselves. You can go ahead and do that, but follow behind them to make sure that they're doing a good job. Brush their teeth, brush their tongue, using a fluoride toothpaste. You don't need to use a full ribbon of toothpaste on the brush to completely cover the brush.
Right.
A pea-size amount is adequate to be able to clean and freshen the breath, even dry brushing.
Since I'm fortunate enough to be sitting here with a young hygienist, I thought I'd just take advantage of your knowledge. Now, what about the old myth of brushing this way, up and down, or sideways? What's the deal?
Well, we don't want to go sideways back and forth because you don't want to scrub.
Okay.
And you only want to use a soft toothbrush.
Okay.
No medium, no hard.
Got it.
And so you really want to put that brush at an angle so that you're getting the bristles more up under the gum and working the bristles back and forth and sweeping them away from the gum.
Gotcha. Now, do I have to pay you for that advice, or is that free today?
It's free.
All right, look, we're almost out of time, and I want to ask you a personal question since we just met. What led you to want to go into this field, this kind of career? Was there somebody in your family that sort of encouraged you, or what?
I had a instructor when I was in high school, and she had a relative that she would often talk about that really loved dentistry. And when I would go to the dentist, I really loved being there. And I was fortunate to be able to shadow in some dental offices, and that made me know that this is a career for me.
How about that? Well, I'm glad you did. And I'm so glad you're part of the county team and doing things through the Department of Health to help everyone. Will you come back sometime?
Okay, I will.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And you love to go to the dentist, is what you said as a kid.
Yes.
Well, maybe if you were my dentist, I'd go. All right, we'll be right back after this.
76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone.
Back now for Forsyth County Connections. I want to talk for a few minutes about a very serious topic of domestic violence. I guess the uplifting part is we have a guest with us who's helping people who are dealing with this very serious problem, and that's important. And we're, of course, talking with Christina Alvaro. She's Director of Community Victim Services of Next Step Ministry. Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Very quickly, let's get started. Just tell us in a few words the mission of Next Step Ministries.
Yeah, so Next Step Ministries is a nonprofit based out of Kernersville, and our mission is to provide refuge, advocacy, and education to survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking in the broader community as well.
How would you define domestic violence? Because we hear it on the news every day, unfortunately,
Yes.
and we read about it, but you don't really stop and wonder, okay, what does it actually mean?
Right. So domestic violence is a pattern of behaviors used by one partner against another to maintain power and control. So a lot of times we think about spouses, dating partners, ex-partners, if you have a child together, and it can also be family members, so parent and child, or even roommates.
Physical abuse a lot of times involved. Does this also include, I don't know, just verbal abuse too? Can it be?
Absolutely, yeah, and so there's a lot of different elements of domestic violence. So verbal abuse is one, psychological, there's using children, isolation, and there's a lot of different ways that people are maintaining power and control over another person, and sexual assault can be one of them as well.
All right, now tell me about some of the services that you offer to the community.
Yeah, so we have two main areas of services, the first one being our emergency safe house. So that's located in Kernersville. We have a 24/7 crisis line. And so we have people from all over the state and all over the country that come who are fleeing interpersonal violence. And we provide shelter, food, hygiene items, daily necessities, transportation for court and medical, and the opportunity to work with a case manager. So that's safety planning, that's developing goals and next steps.
Yeah, we talked about, of course, that you're based in Kernersville, but what if somebody, of course, the show is about all of Forsyth County.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, and I live in Kernersville, sometimes they think, oh, Kernersville is its own thing, whatever. But let's say somebody's in crisis and they don't live in Kernersville, but they're in the county. Now, how do they connect with you?
Absolutely. So they can definitely call our crisis line, which is 336-413-5858. But we also have our community-based programming, which is the other side of it. And so we are heavily involved with court advocacy and accompaniment. So we're able to walk with individuals all the way from 50B filings at Bridges to Hope, all the way to the end of their court hearings.
Because in the case, let's say a woman who's been battered by a spouse, a lot of times you want to make sure they get that courage to go in and testify in court, and so you guys are helping to buoy them up and get them there and prepare them, right?
Yes, and so a big part of that is what to expect in court. It can be a very scary experience for anybody. Most people aren't familiar with the court process, so
Right.
we're attending with them, we're a friendly face to go with them, but it's also explaining who's going to be in court, what's the role of the prosecutor.
I just think that's so important. That's one of the great things that you guys do, I think, is to have that emotional support, but be right there with them. I think that's great. Do you work with other agencies? Do you partner with other agencies on things?
Yes, so one of our biggest collaborations is actually with Bridges to Hope Family Justice Center in Winston-Salem. So we're very, very lucky to be able to work closely with them. Our victim advocates will go into the center when they're helping with 50B or 50C protective order filings, and we provide support and accompaniment that entire time. And so Bridges to Hope, they also send referrals to us for people who are interested in court accompaniment,
Right.
or people who are just interested in our services. And
Well, what kind of impact do you think the Next Step Ministries has had in the community in the recent past?
yeah, I can give you some of the statistics from 2024. So we served 321 individuals. across all of our services, so that's safe house and community-based.
Right.
And 111 of those were Kernersville clients, so the rest of them weren't. So that's either Forsyth County or beyond. So we are reaching people beyond just Kernersville. You don't have to be a Kernersville resident to reach out to us on the crisis line or our main office. And we also worked with 87 children. So that's been a focus for us because a lot of times with domestic violence, children are a forgotten element of it, but they can be greatly impacted as well, even if it's just hearing.
Absolutely. What's the website people should go to learn more?
Yeah, so we are at www.nextstepdv.org.
nextstepdv.org. Christina, I just appreciate all you do. It's such important work. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Positive praise is at the heart of each parenting strategy from Boys Town. Visit boystown.org/praise to receive your 10 Ways to Praise magnet. It's a great reminder to catch them being good, and that great parenting advice is just a click away.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections, an interesting topic. There are lots of things that we can volunteer for in the county, and too many of them to mention. You can go to the website and find out all the commissions, but the one we want to focus on now is the Community Appearance Commission, and I guess one of the longest serving members of that commission is George Edwards. He's with us right now. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
What is the mission, very quickly, what's the mission of the commission?
Well, the commission's main charge is to look to the aesthetic and visual qualities of Forsyth County and Winston-Salem. And to that end, we do 4 major program thrusts to help us accomplish that. And it's composed entirely of volunteers appointed by the city and by the county.
All right. Now, who makes up those volunteers? I mean, do you have to have a certain qualification to be in it, or what?
Well, it's both categorical, as the city says, and I think the county follows that same language. But the Community Appearance Commission, Jim, is composed of 15 people. 8 come from the city appointments, and 7 come from county appointments.
All right.
Of those, I'm going to be approximate, 4 and 5 total of those 15 are categorical, which means they have to come out of the professional ranks of landscape architects, developers, preservationists like myself. That's my professional background, and I'm retired.
Right.
And you can be retired. So they're looking for people with certain skill sets to bring to the commission.
But you can be retired, but do you still have to, as a retiree, do you still have to have expertise in a particular area?
You do. You have to be. But there are some just open positions. So somebody with an interest in this category, this commission, could apply. And if there are openings, they would ultimately be appointed to the commission.
Now, what are this Community Appearance Awards? What's that about?
Well, the awards are given biannually, every other year. And we pick from self-nominated and nominated to us groups and organizations and sites. The AIA is allowed to nominate biannually a site for us. And we look at various and sundry areas, individual projects, rehabilitation or historic preservation. We look at community projects. The award winners have been, my goodness, been widely varied. We've given awards to...
Does it have to be residential, or can it be commercial?
I'll give you an example. Recent winners, and I'm saying recent, just a couple of years ago,
All right.
the Union Station, the Long Branch Trail,
Okay.
Green Street Pedestrian Bridge,
Right.
community-initiated beautification initiatives in Walkertown and Louisville.
All right.
So,
well then,
we'll
all
vary.
right. You sent me an email one day about something called Community Roots Day. What's that
Yeah,
about?
the Roots Day is a fantastic initiative. It's been going on for a number of years now. I think 27 years. And through the Community Appearance Commission, with a great assist from 2 other agencies, and I better look at my notes so I don't misspeak on that, Keep Winston-Salem Beautiful and the Winston-Salem Vegetative Management Office.
Yeah, you got to watch those 2 organizations. They'll sue you if you don't mention them. No, they
You
won't.
take
I'm just
volunteers, and sometimes we've had hundreds, literally hundreds of volunteers show up on a Saturday.
That's great.
To plant trees along byways, public streets, never on private property.
Right.
And that beautification effort over those many, many years that I mentioned has resulted in over 8,000 trees being planted in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County.
That's super. We have a few seconds left. What kind of, do you offer any educational programs?
Well, we have offered educational programs, and I think like a lot of institutions, COVID took the legs out of our educational outreach. We're trying to rebuild that, but we have had programs on lawn care, garden care, tree maintenance. We'd like to rebuild those because they were widely appreciated,
Yeah.
and they were offered in public venues, easy access for the community.
All right. As we close out, is there a website or any other information people can go to get more details about?
There would. You can go to the city's website for commissions and volunteering, and you can go to the counties, and the commissions, all the commissions are described there. Those categorical requirements are mentioned there, and an application is there. And we, CAC, is going to be facing a heavy turnover this spring, so we're looking for a lot of good qualified people who want to serve. It's a lot of fun.
That's excellent. And what were those two organizations I was kidding about? What were you saying? Now, I want to give them credit for that one
Well,
more
the
time.
two that really promote Roots Day are the Winston-Salem Vegetative Management. That's a city agency.
Okay.
And then the Keep Winston-Salem Beautiful.
Yeah, I know some folks in that. They do some great work.
They do some great work,
They really do.
absolutely.
Hey, George, thanks for your long service on this.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Jim. Nice
All
to
right,
see
man.
you.
We'll be right back after this.
You don't have time to attend every government meeting in Forsyth County. Subscribe to the Forsyth County newsletter. Available the first day of the month, the Forsyth County News arrives in email with articles, videos, and links to information and programs that matter to you.
Back now for Forsyth County Connections, and so glad we can spend a few minutes with this lovely lady, Kirsten Rios, Children's Library Supervisor for Forsyth County Central Library. Thanks for stopping by.
Well, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
I like the library. I used to go to the library a lot as a kid. It's a good place.
I hear that a lot
Yeah.
from a lot of adults. And I'm
I
like,
used-
okay, what's your excuse for not coming back?
Yeah, well, I'm in my 70s, so we didn't have a lot of different libraries. It was the central library you went to, but I had a lot of good, went there for doing research and stuff like that. Hey, look, tell me about, you emailed me one day about this career day thing that's going on. What is that all about, and what's the purpose?
So we, Saturday, March 29th, from 11 to 2 at the Central Library in our auditorium, we have invited a lot of women from the community in various careers to come. They'll have tables where they'll be set up at where they can talk to the kids, the teenagers about their jobs, what's involved, what kind of education you might need, and kind of give an idea of their own career path
Right.
so that the kids can have an idea of what to expect as they grow and their interests grow.
Yeah. What made you decide to want to do this kind of program, a career day? Because, I know how older kids sometimes will go to career days where there's a manufacturer there who's trying to hire people, whatever. But this is just sort of introducing the kids to these kind of careers. What made you think this was a good thing to do?
Well, it's actually a couple of different things that made me think about it. One is it's Women's History Month, and so we definitely want to shed some light on how important and influential these women are in the community and highlight that. But I'm thinking back to when I was a kid, I didn't know what career paths were open to me. We didn't have people who'd come to school to talk to us about that unless it was a situation where they were trying to recruit us for something.
Right.
And so I didn't know as I grew up. The only thing I knew was that you could be a teacher or maybe a librarian, which, I'm a librarian now and I love it, but I didn't know about all these other careers. So want to have this brought in so the kids can have a chance to see.
Is there any restriction on the ages of the kids that can come in and learn from this, or is it just certain?
No, so we're encouraging everyone. Everyone's welcome, but we specifically are gearing it toward the K through 7th grades, and we're even going to have a passport that we're going to give those ages where they can go around, have it stamped at the table so that we know they have participated. At the end, they'll write a sentence of, I want to be a policewoman, I want to be a whoever, and they'll turn it in and they can win a prize
Wow.
for
I was
participating.
getting ready to say there's some inducements there. So is it sort of an all-day thing then?
It's 11 to 2.
11 to 2.
Yeah,
All
on
right.
Saturday.
Now, is there, I know it's a stupid question, but is there going to be a fee for this, or do you have to have a library card, or what?
No, not at all. Everybody's welcome. So
Okay.
completely free.
Now, what do you hope that folks will take away from this career day?
Well, I really hope that kids especially, again, it's for everybody, but kids especially, I want them to be able to understand that there are so many different ways that their life can go, so many different careers that they can look into. Every kid's got their own interests, so hopefully this kind of builds on their interests.
Right.
But I also, again, I really want to emphasize how important the women are in our community who have contributed so much to their careers and have just been so wonderful And I really want kids to be able to could go away with it and think that of themselves.
Suppose one of the kids on this special career day comes up to you and says, why did you want to do what you're doing? What would you say to them?
I love to help people. Like librarians, that's what we do. We help people. That's my entire job. And I love it. I love getting to meet all the people from the community, everybody's interests. They love to come up to me and talk to me about what books they love or what movies they love, or they'll even just ask me for help with their homework. I love it. And so
I used to love when 100 years ago when I'd go in the library as a kid, I used to love it when the library would go, shh. It wasn't, the day wasn't complete. Jeff, you know what I'm talking about. Shh. Because, people like Jeff and I, we make too much noise. All right, mention again the exact day.
it is Saturday, March 29th from 11 to 2 at Central Library in our auditorium.
Okay. Now, where can people learn more other than just a few minutes you and I spent together here? Where can you learn more?
Gotcha. We've got it on our website. It's on our online calendar. And of course, we've got flyers up at every one of our branches. So anyone that you stop in, you'll be able to see.
All right.
Yeah.
Kirsten, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We'll be right back after this.
This is Forsyth. Property fraud is real. Protect your property today. Sign up for the Forsyth County Register of Deeds Property Fraud Alert. Be notified by email if someone tries to use your name or address on documents filed with the Register of Deeds. Following an alert, you can contact your lending institution and police to file a report. No Register of Deeds office has the authority to remove any document. Use our free property fraud alert at forsyth.cc/ROD.
Back now for the final segment in Forsyth County Connections. I'm so glad you stayed with us for the entire program because we have a special guest with us. He's been here before and very well known around the county. But Drew Wiles is Marketing and Events Manager for Forsyth County Parks and Recreation. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I'm guessing that your department has been pretty busy as we sort of transition from winter to spring. So what do you and your team have going on over the next few months and maybe we wouldn't know about?
For sure, yeah. So we stay busy year round, but coming out of winter into spring and then summer, that's really our peak time of the year in Parks and Recreation, as you can imagine. Some of the big things we have going on right now are RV campground at Tanglewood Park. It opened on March 1st, so this past weekend. April 1st, our outdoor picnic shelters at our county parks, they're all going to open up, and so you'll start seeing people enjoying those.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the picnic shelters are closed for how long a period of time each year?
So it depends on the location, but typically you can plan on being closed from about the early to middle portion of October, and then we reopen all of them at the same time on April 1st.
I got you. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were talking about picnic shelters, you were talking about the RV campground. What else you got going?
So we're also selling our Aquatic Center season passes for Tanglewood Park Aquatic Center, and so that means that's on the way as well, starting to prep the Aquatic Center and pool areas.
Now, for people who don't know, the Aquatic Center was built, what, a couple years ago, last year? When was
So we've had an Aquatic Center out at Tanglewood for a very long time. I don't know the actual year, I probably should, but we did renovate it within the past 10 years
Yeah,
or so.
I know there was a renovation done. Now, what do people see and do when they come in there? I know we didn't rehearse this, but I'm just curious about Aquatic Center. I have not been in there. What's in there?
Yeah, so it's one big facility. It can hold around 1,100 people total is our capacity.
Wow.
And we do hit that capacity just about every weekend. But it's got 4 main areas. We've got a splash pad area. We've got a 0 entry wading pool, and so it's a sloped entrance, almost like a beach, but without sand. It's
right.
A concrete with a ceiling over the top, and then we have a lazy river as well as a main tank. And there's a couple different locations we have slides at as well.
That's cool. That's cool. So you got an area that's sort of suited for people of all ages, right?
Absolutely, and that was kind of the purpose behind that remodel and having those 4 different areas.
Right. When we talk about those kind of activities, I'm curious. You sent me an email one day about passive activities, things that people can do. I'm assuming you mean if you don't play tennis, if you don't play golf, if you don't jog or whatever. So as the weather turns warm, are there any passive outdoor activities or services that might appeal to folks who are maybe elderly?
Yeah, so there's all types of stuff. We always encourage people to check our website, and you can find everything there. The one big thing, and probably the most popular thing, Going back to those picnic shelters opening up on
Right.
April 1st, we have picnic shelters ranging in size of capacity for 75 people all the way up to 300. So you can host a wide variety of events at those
Wow.
shelters, and they're at 8 of our 10 county parks.
And I guess we ought to remind folks that when we talk about picnic shelters, when we talk about season passes on the aquatic center, I'm assuming that there's some kind of fee involved in both those situations, right?
So we do have a fee and reservation process. The fee ranges based on the location and how big the shelter is. But to reserve those, you can either call one of our offices. So for Tanglewood, you're going to call the Tanglewood Marketing Events Office
Right.
at 336-703-6480.
Okay.
And then for any other park outside of Tanglewood, you'll call our downtown Parks and Recreation office.
And then the aquatic thing, the season passes for that, there's so much fun stuff to do in there. You got to get that. You can't just walk in there. You got to pay, right?
So you don't have to have a season pass. The season pass is more of a tool for people who know they're gonna be out at Tanglewood Park all summer long with their family or by themselves or with some friends, and so they can kind of pay that fee up front, have
Yeah.
a season pass, and
That
then they
makes
enjoy
sense.
free admission
Yeah.
all summer long.
That makes sense. You also, very quickly before time runs out, you said something to me one day about a Parks and Rec newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
What's it?
So we started about a year ago. Our marketing events office started a Parks and Recreation newsletter. It's become pretty popular. Our contact list has grown pretty steadily, and so it's a great way for people to get information like they're getting today on what's going on throughout the year. It's a bi-monthly newsletter, so every 2 months they'll get it in their email inbox. For people who do want to sign up for that, it's real easy. You just go to our website, forsyth.cc/parks.
Okay.
You'll hit the newsletter button. You'll enter some general information like your name, email,
Yeah.
and then every 2 months you'll get that newsletter right in your inbox for you to read.
Cool.
If you don't want to go the digital route, you can also pick them up, a physical copy at any of our offices.
All right, Drew. Hey, that's good information. Thanks for stopping by and bringing us up to date, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
That's going to do it for this edition of Forsyth County Connections. I'm so glad you stayed with us. I want to quickly thank all the good folks here who make this possible. Of course, Ed McNeil is our executive producer, and Jeff Fabrizio, who puts all this together, and our leader, Chantel Robinson, who's our county manager, who oversees everything, keeps things running. For all of us here, Forsyth County Connections, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next time.